IELTS writing is a big problem. People fail there all the time. People get 6.5, they never get a 7, and they even get 6 or below. They get stuck in this for months. I've seen people get stuck on this for years. This is a serious problem. So, what are some mistakes people make? Let's analyze 5 of them. There are literally like 30 to 40 mistakes I could list, but I'm going to say 5, the top 5 that people are unaware of. So you might be doing everything right and you might have great English. You might have used some of the best vocabulary ever known to mankind. But there are 5 mistakes that people ignore because they don't know these rules. So let me explain these rules so you can make sure you don't make those mistakes, okay? First thing is people being too specific. Again, these things, even if you Google some of the top blog articles, not just local websites, but the top websites, you will see number 1 and number 2. You will see these two very commonly. So number 1 is being too specific. When you're too specific in your examples in writing, you lose marks. What I mean by that is you cannot name a person, a company, an event, a survey, or anything. Here's an example. People say, for example, in 1992, in the University of Columbia, it was shown in an experiment that whatever. When you do this, what it looks like is you have memorized the example, or you memorized this event, you saw this in a newspaper, and you just copy pasted it. And this does not show the examiner your own English theory. Similarly, if you name a company, let's say you talk about Facebook. In 2001, Facebook started this, and right now Facebook is doing this, this, this. Once again, it looks like a news item. It looks too specific. It looks like you have read it or heard it somewhere. You're just copy pasting it. Examiners want you to explain the why and how. Now, this is going to make a lot of sense to you. Look, there's a mark for task response. How you have answered the question. There's a mark for elaboration and cohesion, how you have structured all of this. If it's not your own explanation, if you haven't built your explanation in steps 1, 2, 3, 4, how would the examiner mark you on any of those things? You just copy pasted an article or an event or a real life scenario, and now the examiner cannot help build or see you building your elaboration. So here's what I would do. Let's talk about a bad example. And let's say the question is talking about how we should stop nuclear weapons, okay? And you support it. You say, yeah, we should stop it. Now, your body paragraph says, we should really stop nuclear weapons because, for example, what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? They destroyed the cities, there was radiation, and people were dead, and so on, right? This is a bad example. Looks like a news item. It doesn't show why and how. It doesn't show your own theory, your own explanation why this should be banned. Here's what will show your own theory. You start with the topic sentence, something like, to begin with, the nuclear disasters we have seen or will continue to see will get worse, which is why this technology should be technology production should be ceased. Of course, we're going to try to use complex words. For example, nuclear power plants could be damaged by natural disasters, which could leak radiation. If not this, the consequence of having engineers or people within the nuclear power plants be exposed to radiation constantly would mean unsafe workplace environment that could lead to health problems and so on, right? So now what you see I'm doing here is I'm building my own theory. I'm explaining why and how it could be harmful and disastrous. I'm not saying, look, this happened in Ukraine or Japan and this happened and then that's why it's bad. I'm giving the examiner my why and how, my own elaboration on how this is a bad thing. That's what they're looking for. When you do this, they get a chance to evaluate your English. You have to give them that chance because if you don't, they'll just reduce your mark, right? So you give them the theory. They want the theory. They don't want an event, a newspaper article. Okay, so don't be too specific. By that, obviously, don't take real people's names, company names, events, or historical dates or data. Number 2 is don't be too general. So what I explained in my example was, why and how something would happen and what can be done. Something too general would be a body paragraph that says nuclear weapons are bad, they are very dangerous, they could kill several people, they could be harmful for Now, I want to say for the environment, but that's a good answer actually. I would say they're harmful for everything, you know. So here you can see my words are like several people, everything, all over the world. It's too general. Now here there's no theory. Like why exactly would it be bad? Can you tell me the reason? This is also something I see happening a lot of times with students. Because you're thinking that I'm supposed to speak negatively on this topic, so I'm just gonna say it's bad, it's dangerous, and so on and so. But you have to give a reason why. How? Like as I explained, natural disasters could destroy the or it could cause a leak in the radiation. How about the employees working there? That could be another problem, and so on. So you got to be a little specific, but again, don't be too specific, talking about real people, real names, or real companies, etc. Mistake number 3 is having a strict structure. Now, examiners want to look at a range of everything, range of sentences, ideas, vocabulary, and so on. In our templates, and if you haven't seen our templates, check out our videos here about IELTS templates. You can also use the course in the description. That course includes very advanced templates on everything in Task 1 and Task 2. Now, in our templates, we show this as well. You shouldn't have, for example, a concluding sentence in every paragraph. If you have 3 body paragraphs, you do a concluding sentence in every paragraph. It looks like it might be okay depending on how you do it. There are creative ways to do it, but it's better if you do it maybe once, maybe twice, but not all 3 times. If you have 2 bodies, better to do it just one time. So what you do by doing that is showing the examiner, hey, I know how to use a concluding sentence. Here's one example. I've shown you how to do it, but I decide not to do this in the second or the third body or the second body. And that shows a versatility. It shows that you haven't copy pasted anything learned from the internet. It shows that you can change your structures as you go. Now, again, it depends. You sometimes should not do it. Like in the intro, you should always give the opinion. That's strict. Every body paragraph starts with a topic sentence. That's strict, right? But a concluding sentence, for example, is optional, so you can remove it in some cases. It goes beyond concluding sentences. Again, you shouldn't follow just using commas all the time. Use some semicolons. You shouldn't always change paragraphs when it's a new idea. Try to combine some ideas in complex sentences. Then mix them up with simple sentences. Having a mixture is important. Some people just do all simple sentences. Some people do all complex sentences. You want to do a mixture, okay? And again, having a strict structure would reduce your marks, so please don't be strict and follow a rigid structure. Mistake number 4 is not being unique. This comes in a lot of ways. It is in terms of vocabulary. You want to make sure you don't use common words like to begin with or on the one hand, on the other hand. Firstly, secondly, that is something that everybody's going to use. If you're doing your task 1 letter, you're always going to say in academic, the graph shows. Or in general, you would say that I'm writing this letter because. We teach in our templates that formal letters, for example, should start with the purpose of my writing today is. And they shouldn't finish with I'm looking forward to. We have a very complex template for that. It is, furthermore, an open line of communication should be appreciated, and so on. Please check the course in the description if you want to avail this template. So we tell you what kind of words you can use to stand out from the crowd. How we know this is because we get thousands of students every month for IELTS. We know 90% of them say this thing. Examiners know that as well. So all you got to do is don't say those things. Don't do the things that everybody else is going to do. Follow unique vocabulary, wordings, structures, and that should help you. Now, the last mistake people are unaware of is the task response. They do a great exam, they proofread it, and they know there's no grammar mistake or anything. But usually what happens, when you are in the second half of your writing, if it's task 2, body 2 onwards, if it's task 1, after the first few paragraphs, you go away from the question. We see this happen a lot. Why does this happen in the second part is because you're nervous, you're looking at the time is running out, you're trying to finish this task. Also, it's been a while since you read the question. When you started, you read the question. You were on track, you were focused, but now you forgot the question. So obviously, a simple thing to do is read the question again midpoint when you're writing your essay or task 1. So you remember what you're answering, what you're supposed to answer. You don't deviate from it, because it's very common to see students completely answer something else when they're in the second half. And also, make an outline. Making an outline is so important. I always emphasize this. Everybody who scores good marks in IELTS does it. Don't be overconfident. You're not as good as you think you are. I'm saying this because I've been teaching IELTS for 17 years. I still make a damn outline. You should too. It is something that we need as human beings. Doesn't matter how good your English is. We tend to forget our own ideas. Okay, so write down your outline 2 to 3 minutes only before the start of your actual writing. That at that time would be correct because you read the question. You now are writing the outline based on what you have read. It is 100% accurate, and later you just have to look at your outline and follow that. You would not deviate from the actual task if you do this. So please follow these 5 tips for great success in your IELTS exam, because this is what people usually ignore and they're unaware of these things, reducing their marks time and time again. Hope that helps, and if you like this video, please subscribe, share, and like. We'll talk soon. Take care.